Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, this video is probably of immense importance. We could be seeing the groundwork and the gaslighting for one of the greatest miscarriages of justice ever to befall any democratic nation. It's all to do with the gender reassignment bill and how the mentally ill lobby have basically corrupted democracy to get their way against the will of the vast majority of people. It's going to go to the High Court. If the High Court rules against this, it means that women are no longer recognised in law as women. It means that any woman who is in, say, a crisis centre cannot object to a man entering that crisis centre, and if they do, they can be prosecuted for hate speech. It's going to lead, I think, to an uptick in physical altercations. It's going to possibly even the ending of people's lives through acts of physical attacks. I think that this law must fail. If the court upholds it, there is going to be so many problems that it will be beyond fixing. It will destroy society, and it will mean the effective cancellation of women as even a thing. There will be no such thing as women anymore. There'll be men, and then there'll be not men. There won't be women. They can't ever be women, and you're not allowed to call a woman in case you upset the hurty fifis of the mentally ill, the 0.001% of the population. And they're about to destroy women's rights everywhere if this goes through. But what is astounding about this case is who is being allowed to speak and who is not being allowed to speak. We're going to go into it and have a look now. And I warn you, I may well get angry. You may well get angry. And if you have any feelings about justice or about protecting women, you must make sure that you are fully informed about what is happening, and that you make sure that you can at some point protect the people you love. Because if this court case goes the wrong way, they cease to exist in law. And you can point to this particular moment as to when society is destroyed. Let's have a look at this article. Here goes. So, Humza Yousaf's gender battle with Westminster to be live streamed as SNP-backed lobby group wins chance to intervene. So, the SNP, who is paying this lobby group out of taxpayers' money, although I'm sure nobody wanted that, nobody who pays taxes said, yes, I agree to have my money paid to this group that are directly threatening the very existence of my mother, my sisters, my daughters, my nieces, my female friends. Why are you paying taxpayer money to these people? These mentally ill minority who want the right to go and interfere with women, to remove rights and freedoms from women, to deny women their very existence. And they're getting paid taxpayers' money. Now, they have been given the right to go to this hearing and to speak and put their point of view across. It's weird, isn't it? So the Scottish Government's long-awaited legal attempt to stop the UK Government from vetoing their controversial gender policy will be shown online from the Court of Session in Edinburgh, and we will, of course, be watching that like a hawk. Humza Yousaf's legal challenge against Westminster over its decision to block a bill on gender reforms over equality fears will be live streamed online. The Scottish Courts and Tribunal Service said the judicial review into the Scottish Government's, or the UK Government's, first ever use of a Section 35 order will be shown live on its website. The Scottish Government failed to secure a delay to the process that will begin later this month, with the main case to be heard at the Court of Session between the 19th and 21st of September. They wanted to delay because their case isn't quite ready yet. and they wanted to get more people, and they wanted to get as many people as they can to come forward. And the court said, no, it's got to go ahead. This is a limited time. And they're not happy about it. But you know what? Good. The news follows an announcement from Scottish Trans, the group for mentally ill men who want to cancel women and who want to basically become predators in a woman's world, want to go into jails, want to go into crisis centres, want to go into DV units, flash their cocks about at women, that sort of thing. They had an application to intervene in the case, and it's been granted, allowing them the opportunity to explain why, in their words, why we think it should overturn the Section 35 order issued by the UK Secretary of State for Scotland and allow the bill to gain royal assent and become law. So they're basically saying, no, they want the right to suddenly, at their discretion, become women and access safe space areas and ignore the rights of women, ignore the safety of women, ignore the freedoms, and ignore the fact that women even exist in law. They want the term sex to mean pretendy sex, not actual biological sex, because they're mentally ill. Now, questions have been raised about the ethics of a taxpayer-funded lobby group speaking on behalf of the Scottish Government in court. And it's worse than that, and I'll come to why it's worse than that in a minute. The First Minister announced in April that his government would take the UK government to court after it decided to veto the Gender Recognition Reform Bill. Now, let me just put an aside in here. If he is so confident about this bill, why doesn't he have a referendum on it and see what the result is? I'm sure he believes it's a very popular bill. So let's test its popularity. Let's put it to the people of Scotland if they want this bill. He won't do that because he knows it'll be 99.9% go fuck yourself. And he's scared to do it. Anyway, the bill was passed overwhelmingly by the Scottish Parliament despite warnings and a massive public backlash. Since it passed, the Isla Bryson prison scandal is widely considered to undermine the core of the bill. Why would you put biological men who attack women into a prison filled with women? The simple way is, if you've not had bottom surgery, you're a man. And I think this is the correct definition, right? If you are born a man, you're a man. If you have top surgery as a man, you're still a man. And if you have not had bottom surgery, in other words, if you've still got a cock and balls, you're a man. Now, what I will say is, if you've had bottom surgery and your cock and balls have gone, then you're still a man. But for the purposes of changing rooms, I think we can allow that one because there's no penises on show. But not crisis centres, not DV units, and certainly not sport. But if those balls are intacto, if you are male intact, then no, you're a man and you have to stay a man. If you really want to be a woman that much, go get them cut off. And we also know that the self-ending rate for people who actually do have it hacked off is 10 times higher than the normal population. So all I'll say there is the problem cures itself. The first hearing will take place on August the 16th. Scottish Court Service said, while members of the public are free to watch the legal battle, they should pay careful attention to the legal warning on the recording and redistribution of the footage. Live stream details can be found here. We will have this as and when it comes. Now, I'm just going to do this bit and then I'm going to say the bit that is highly worrying and should put fear through everyone. But let's get this bit out of the way first. The Holyrood Bill interferes with the UK-wide Equality Act, says Westminster. In a boost to Mr Yousaf's case, the 3-day hearing will be heard by Lady Haldane, who ruled in 2022 that the definition of sex was not limited to biological or birth sex. It should be. Now, there is an amendment going through UK Parliament to amend the 2010 Equality Act to state explicitly that where it refers to sex, it means biological or birth sex. But until then, it's a bit airy-fairy, because no one, when they were crafting this, would think anything other than the obvious, normal things that these things meant. They didn't expect there to be so many mentally ill fuckwits trying to abuse and predate women so openly, effectively. In what became known as the Haldane decision, she judged that in the context of the 2010 Equality Act, sex referred to a person's sex recognised by law and not simply their biological sex. Now, of course, the problem here is if this law goes through in Scotland, you can have a man, pretending to be a woman, being accepted as a woman in Scotland, but the moment he crosses the border, he's back to being a man again because he doesn't meet the criteria. And so I'm going to go to the ladies' toilet. Well, you can do that side of the border, mate. You come this side, you get charged. Oh, but that's not fair. Well, you know, them's the breaks, aren't they? Them's the rules. Scottish trans are part of the Equality Network that is set to have received over £3 million through the Equality and Human Rights Fund from 21 to 24. £1 million a year in public money going to these weirdos. Scottish Trans said, we wanted to intervene because we think it's really important that the court takes the voices and views of trans people in Scotland into account as part of its decision making. One legal expert said the public purse could expect a legal bill of £500,000, blah, blah, blah. We won't go on with that. This line, we wanted to intervene because we think it's really important that the court takes the views and voices of trans people in Scotland into account as part of its decision making. Fair enough. It's a fair enough comment. If you want to promote this and you want to push to it right, that's fine. Presumably then, you will be letting women's advocacy groups speak to the hearing to give their views on why this shouldn't happen and why they feel endangered and why they feel that it is a bad move and why it should be protected in law because of various things that we've covered and mentioned. But wait, the court has made a ruling that while the trans lobby can stand in the court and give their case, women's advocacy groups may not do so. So the 0.01% lunatic fringe of the society does get a voice, and the 50.95% of the Scottish population that this directly affects, they don't get listened to at all. That's SNP justice. Well, I think direct action. I think if this goes through the wrong way, the only result is direct action. And when I'm going to close off, I'm just going to stop here. I'm not going to go back to my normal I'm going to come up thing. I'm simply going to stop talking in a moment. And I'm going to put a card up. And I want you to read what the card says, because I think that this could be the only time when I would advocate for this if this decision goes the wrong way. And I will stop now and I will let you read what I'm about to put up, and it isn't my quote, it is the quote of a guy called Robert Heinlein, and I think that it sums up everything, and I think that direct action may be the final policy on this decision if this case goes the wrong way. Thank you for listening. Please read the card. And until next time, goodbye.